What if your voice was not just yours, but an echo of the women who came before you? Welcome to Catalyst of Change, the space where we explore what it means to lead with soul, create with intention, and serve from the heart. Today's guest is Lorelei, a multidimensional artist, sound priestess, and sacred storyteller whose work bridges the ethereal and the embodied. Her voice carries the frequency of remembrance, awakening something ancient and beautiful in those who listen. In this powerful conversation, we explore feminine healing, the role of creativity and transformation, and how to reclaim the voice, not just as sound, but as a spiritual instrument. Let's dive in. I am so excited to be here with you.
I'm so grateful to be here.
Thank you. And, just in that intro alone, I am like being somebody who has had the opportunity to be in the presence of you performing live and experience your music through all these different platforms online and on your feed. And I'm just like, it is so resonant of that. And the word remembrance particularly really jumped out at me because the first time I ever experienced you perform live, it was in an intimate setting. It was at Eddie's place, the Ananda home. And I was crying. Like, I cried. And it was just so beautiful. And it was those type of tears where it is a remembering. It's like this beautiful experience just beyond listening to a song. And you being able to transmit that through your music, I feel like is a gift. And it's also something that it must come from somewhere. So I'm wondering, like, when you were young, or when, you first discovered you had these gifts, like, what was that like? And what was like the first time that you really used your voice and discovered like that this was not just like, oh, I'm singing, to a song on the radio, but it's like something deeper than that.
I would say for me personally, thank you. Thank you. But yeah, I heard it through other artists first before I had like any knowing of, or even gave myself the freedom to access that within myself. Like hearing other artists so completely in their soul expression, I think you can hear the difference between an artist who is singing with their mind, like in from an analytical place, versus like singing from like actual, like their deepest catharsis. And I just remember feeling just the feeling of love. It was like my first time really feeling love like that was listening to certain songs, certain artists. And yeah, it felt so beyond my waking life. It almost felt like accessing the dream realm. It felt beyond like listening and receiving gifts from other people was how I realized that was even possible. And then just kind of being in play with my voice and giving myself the freedom to play with my voice and tap into like different emotions, happiness, sadness, whatever. And building up that courage, and I guess like along the way I was able to tap into something that, into that same kind of soul expression. And I would say like the first time I can really remember feeling it so intensely was maybe when I was like 18, 19, like singing in the shower and I was going through something. And it was beyond like analytical. It was beyond play. It was like something that had to get out, and like I felt healed after it. And then that's when I realized like, oh, our voices are like a huge tool to heal, not just ourselves but others as well. But that was kind of my journey in finding my voice in that way.
Wow, I feel like that's a whole other dimension of healing, of like using sound. And sound is really like a universal language. And, when you sing, it's like it is like a healing. It's like this recalibration. It's like this whole journey almost. And so what I'm wondering is like, how was it always like that for you, or how did you kind of discover that part of sound? And also for me, it feels very like ceremonial being in your presence and in your performances and some of the messages and the songs. And so I'm wondering, like, has anything influenced that type of music that you share with the world? And
Yeah. I think that's almost like building from, finding my voice and like that moment in the shower where I was like in that complete catharsis.
mm,
Just like in the last few years growing on my spiritual journey, meditating and creating that bridge between the two. It's like, okay, so now I know that this is something that can be tapped into with my voice. And I also know like the importance of clearing your mind and being in a meditative state in complete presence. So what happens when I'm in a full state of release, but also so undeniably present? And like, what happens then? How can I completely clear my mind? And I found that's when, because in clearing my mind, there's no personal agenda in there anymore. There's like a lack of ego at that point. So I feel like it allows for the vibration and the sounds to come through that really need to come through. So I would say, like, personally, even when I'm singing my own originals, there's still like a bit of ego attached there. There's still like my own identity, my own life experiences in those songs. But for the vocal channelings in particular, that is like, I don't know what's come out of my voice or come out of my like being until like after it's already been released, And so that is a state of meditation. It's a state of like, yeah, just being a messenger of what needs to come through for the sake of healing. And yeah, it just like kind of grew. I don't even know, like, I don't think it was like a conscious choice, to be honest. I think I just already loved improvising, building up to it. And then I started singing with two other women. I'm in this band called the Ancient Youth. And we started singing together. And then there was just all of us like within this like synergy, with a lack of thought and a complete like just flow of vocals. It was like all of a sudden it felt like a ritual, and it just felt like, you'd feel like the vibration in your fingertips, and it felt so magical and otherworldly. And like I also can understand how that would like sound kind of, what, but that's my experience with singing with them, is being, it unlocked something that did feel, primal, and like felt like this remembering as well. And now I'm reconnecting with my Celtic roots, and I feel like I feel like I have the voice of the women in my lineage with me, and I'm not singing just for myself. I'm singing for like the history of humankind, and hopefully for the future as well, and like kind of bringing that bridge. But it's just been a journey. Like things just fall into place. Nothing was like an actual choice. It all just kind of just being open to receiving in different ways and sharing in different ways. It just
Love Peace Harmony is a global movement founded by Dr. and Master Zhigong Sha, which works to bring healing and hope where it's needed most. But none of this is possible without you. With your support, we can expand our reach, giving more communities the chance to thrive. Join us in building a world filled with love, peace, and harmony. Visit lovepeaceharmony.org to learn more and donate today. Wow,
Yeah.
It sounds like very serendipitous and like flowing, and just like within the journey of life, because I feel how it occurs to me is what you're sharing is like you being present. All these instances are naturally occurring, and it's like in retrospect, these pieces, like all these pieces are now coming together. But maybe I wonder, like in the moment, does it always feel like everything is together? Or are there moments where, have you ever questioned the journey, or like, how do you manage that? Like if you feel like there's any hiccups on the journey, or how has that occurred along the way in that journey of all of these items like falling into place along the way?
Yeah. Honestly, growing up, I was very resistant to spiritual insight, to things that did not tangibly make sense to me, or that could not be proven in my everyday life. I was very, very resistant. And it was through meditation and experiencing, like, I had to be through my own personal experience, because if anyone told me anything, I'm like, it was so easy for me to discredit. So yeah, there was definitely like growing up, the person that I am now is a completely different person to who I was when I was like a teen, for example. And otherwise, like, I I find that when you're following your highest excitement, things just kind of do fall into place, you know? And obviously on the way there are like hiccups, and there's like fear, you know? Fear comes up, and it's like, how do I deal with this? And just keep following that pull. I think we all have that pull towards our dream, and fear is kind of that thing that wants to keep you back from it. So it was always choosing that faith that things are working out for my highest good. What do I want to accomplish in this lifetime, and what would I be regretful of, like, on, you know, on, like, when I'm 80 years old and I can't move or 90 years old and I can't move anymore? Like, what am I going to look back and think, I wish I did that? Why, I wish I tried that. And I think I live from that place, and it just kind of puts me in positions where like, yeah, I find beautiful community, and where I can find my voice, and I can embody, you know, like what I believe my highest self to be in certain instances. And it's just that path of discovery, I think, comes from like a lot of faith in yourself and in your potential.
Oh my gosh, this is so powerful. I have never heard someone say the highest excitement. And as soon as you said that, I was like, ding, ding, ding. Like, I just, like, my whole body's like, ah, because I've heard, like, follow your highest path or your purpose but your highest excitement, to me, it occurs, and I wonder about the viewers and listeners, what their, experiences of this, but to me, it occurs as like a feeling and something immediately accessible. Like, what in this moment am I excited about? It could be anything. It could be going for ice cream after this. It could be having a conversation with you. It could be performing a song or whatever it might be. But like, what is that thing that's exciting in this moment? And that, like, bringing that almost like an energy surge and like going after it.
And having the courage as well, because for me, there was so many reasons. Like, I'm from Australia, so coming to this side of the world, there was so many reasons to stay, like so many, and everyone wanted me to stay. It didn't really make a lot of sense in the mind's eye to come here. But for me, I was just like, no, I felt the pull. Like, I just knew that it's something that I wanted to experience so badly. And and it's like the best decision I've ever made. And the life I'm living, I'm always pinching myself, like, what did I do to deserve this life? You know? And also, like, we went to Guatemala like a year or so ago, 2 years ago, me and my friends, and technically it was probably like, again, from the mind's eye, I'm like, this is like a terrible decision. Like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense, right? And I did it, and it was like the most awakening, the best experience of my life. Like, I'm still, it's a memory that I return to bring me clarity in every moment, you know? So it's within these experiences where we can hold ourselves back because we're like, well, does it make sense? Like, all these things that can create that resistance, and having that courage to be like, you know, my soul feels like this is the best thing for me. So how am I gonna choose fear, or am I gonna like choose like soul nourishment? And I find that choosing soul nourishment, like obviously you have you're faced with like problems because of it, but I feel like the opportunity that comes from it outweighs those problems, because honestly, when you're thrown into a pool, you learn how to swim. That's just kind of how I live. So when I came over here, I was like, I didn't have a work permit for years. I'm like, okay, I got to figure it out. Like, and then you just learn how to swim. So it's throwing myself at situations, just it's worked out for me, and I feel really grateful and lucky. But I also, yeah, I think that's where my mind goes when I think like following my highest excitement.
I feel like you sharing this is like sharing that courage and that faith. And like it is like showing that's possible because you're the embodiment of that. And you are an embodiment of so many beautiful things. Like you are like this radiant divine goddess. Like everyone can experience that. And it's like it is from the inside out, you know. It's like there's like ancient sayings, for example, where like the heart manifests on the face. So it's like you have this beautiful aura and this light about you that radiates, and it's like this beautiful um energy. And I always feel like in my heart, like softness and like sometimes like the feminine is actually also this really example of fearlessness and of courage, because what does it take to be that in the world today? Actually, it's not as easy and as simple as one may think, even though it may look that way, because of your grace and your beauty. And I, of course, when I use the word beauty, I mean that like on a multidimensional level. And so my curiosity is like that embodiment also comes through in your music and you know, in your storytelling and what you share. And I'm just wondering, like, is there anything behind that feminine essence? Is there anything behind that? Like you spoke, for example, being the voice of your ancestors, and like what's like behind that? Is there an inspiration or a vision or anything that you would say is carries through in that? Across the United States, youth mental health is in crisis. According to the CDC, nearly half of high school students report feeling persistently sad or hopeless, the highest levels ever recorded. Love, Peace, Harmony is responding with empowerment programs that use art, music, and mindfulness to help communities find inner peace, confidence, and purpose. When you join as a standard member for only $35 a month, your support directly funds these music and art therapy sessions for youth and for communities at large across the nation. Mental and emotional health workshops in these underserved communities, outreach programs that bring love, peace, and harmony to those who really need it are all funded by your direct support. Your membership helps people and reminds them that they are not alone. Join us now at lovepeaceharmony.org.
Yeah, I think that within our timeline, we exist. I think that like we exist within a culture that we profit off of people's insecurity, and I feel like choosing yourself and finding your highest embodiment is like a rebellion to that. Like that's like the I feel like with how it's kind of against all odds, you know, in a culture that kind of pushes, especially for women, like a lot of your self-worth based off of your physical appearance, or like your security, or like honestly for all of us, a lot of like classism and self-worth is kind of mirrored in like where do you stand with like in this hierarchy of finances and whatever. And I just see that that we're meant for so much more than that. And I think it like kind of rips us from our own humanness, and it rips us away from like true community. And I feel just bringing that back to like being the voice of my ancestors, I feel like they've been struggling with this. Like this has been like a historical flaw of humankind. And I just believe, especially like rediscovering more of my own personal roots within Celtic tradition of druidry, and how like spiritual insight was so revered even with political decisions, and also like having the like high priestess being realized. I feel like that is a great remembering, and I feel like my ancestors are behind me, like we got to bring it back. you know and just feeling like, yeah, the weight of the wounded feminine, and how can I transcend that and write new norms, and how can we all do that together? And like, what does the embodied feminine look like? Like, her sensuality is for herself first. It's not like, it's kind of like decentering the male gaze. Yes. And our like respecting our natural rhythms and seeing that mirror within the earth. And so there's this like rewilding as well. It's like all of these truths that I feel like feel primal to me, and it feels like we need this resurgence, like this, to carry that within our culture. It does feel different. It feels like, oh wow, this person's like fully realized, but it's like, no, actually this is like something that we can all tap into. Like it's actually like so inherent within all of us. And it's just like remembering of our own personal divinity. And if music is my tool and that's like my gift, then of course I want to use my gift to communicate that and inspire that within people, so that these like dormant this dormant potential can be realized amongst like everyone, because I feel that it's time.
Yes, absolutely. It's like, it is so time.
Yeah.
And it's like a new era. And I feel like what you're saying is so empowering and inspiring to know, like, yes, this is in all of us. And it's like, we have the capacity, we all have the capacity to access, and it's like unique to each one of us. So even though we each have that spark or that connection, that divinity within us, that may look unique for each and every one. And our gifts may be unique, and that's what makes harmony. I always love that, is like all these different notes create a harmony. It's like not a harmony with one note. So how do we all come together?
Yes.
And it's so beautiful.
It's so beautiful. That's what I've realized in the group that I sing with, like me and two other women. I feel like we each carry like a different frequency. So then when we all come together, it's like someone takes that low end and someone takes the mid frequencies, someone takes the airiness of the highs, and together it's just like so potent. Like it magnifies the vibration so much. And like that's what I've personally witnessed, is we each have like what we've come here to do, and like every single puzzle piece is so necessary. And yeah, we all bring something so unique. And it's just it's fun to like see all these different people and like out and about, who are in their self-expression, and just like how they add to other people's lives as well. And just that's like the secret to us all uplifting one another, is like that complete welcoming energy and community. And it's like, okay, bring what you have and let's build together.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like, so how has it been, for example, experiencing that in community? Like, I've seen that you've performed at festivals and all maybe different environments where people are come together. So what do you see from those types of experiences, and how can we learn from that?
It's so beautiful being in these communities where people feel safe,
Mm.
and how willing people are. Like, if you're the person in the your like neighbor in the little tent village doesn't have food, how like everyone has food to help them out. And it's just and also, people aren't shy within that space because they're just so themselves,
Mm.
and then it inspires you to be more yourself. And there's just like this magic, this like little magical essence to it. It feels like this mystical village because everyone's just like within their highest expression, and they're radiating that to everyone else. Everyone's so happy to give, and within like coming back downtown, and it kind of feels like a bit more of that take energy.
Mm.
It's like, especially, it kind of almost mirrors like with our earth, right? We like to take, but we don't really give a lot back.
Mm.
Within these communities, there's so much like of that reciprocity. And so it feels like this flowing thing that just keeps flowing, and then you feel energized after being with people. I can find like sometimes within a bit more of like the hustle culture, it can feel draining sometimes being outside in community. But like within these spaces where you're actually so safe, and that give and take is like flowing, I feel like energized all the time. I always have energy. So it's just like this beautiful model of like a way of living that I think if more people experienced, they'd be like, why we got to bring this into the cities, you know?
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
I know, like, even myself being in those environments, I'm always like, can't we just live like this all the time?
Yes. Sign me up.
Yeah, it's like, it's just beautiful. And it really is like an experience, like something to be experienced. And
Mm.
yeah, I feel like it's very, very powerful. And, you know, you spoke about growing up or being from Australia.
Yeah.
I'm curious, we spoke a little bit before we started rolling, but I'm curious to share with the viewers and listeners like a little bit about your, like, just your background, because it's so fascinating. And I just feel like it's so cool about like your journey in life and the places that like you've lived and experienced. Like you mentioned Guatemala. And I know you mentioned like you partially grew up or mostly in Malaysia as well. And I thought, wow, that's so cool. So I wonder if like any of those experiences, like at a younger age, have like inspired you in any way
For
also.
sure. I think what that taught me was that um I remember leaving Australia when I was like 8 years old and going into Malaysia and being like, Australia's the best. Like, I was like a little patriot. I don't know why I was patriotic, but that's just kind of like when you live in one place for a long time, that's just, I mean, I was young, but after living in Malaysia and growing up in an international school and being in such a multicultural environment, I realized how much of an illusion division is and how much of an illusion these borders are. And then going back to Australia when I'm like 19, and I'm like, this isn't my land. This is like stolen land. And I didn't feel at home there because that wasn't my home. And then like coming over here and feeling like I connect a lot to the land here, but now rediscovering my Celtic roots and knowing that I really want to go back there, like to Scotland. But all of this to say is that I don't feel like Australian, nor do I feel any, like, I feel like an earth being, and I feel like we're all just these earth beings. And yeah, I just see that's, and when you kind of break that illusion, a lot of like suffering based off of the division starts to feel like, what are we doing? We're all on earth right now. Like, this feels so like harboring so many resentments, and it just kind of like fuels itself. But all that to say, I think it broke the illusion of division for me for sure. And even having to go through so much paperwork to stay on this side of the world felt like, oh, I found myself looking at the birds, being jealous that they could fly across the border, and I'm like, we're animals too. What am I,
Yeah, exactly. Like, think about the primal time
Yeah.
before any of that was created, when we're just beings on this earth, and we
Yeah.
really still are. It's just like
Yeah.
we've created all these countries, languages, borders, rules,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera.
Ownership, and
Yeah.
that's what I learned, like what I notice now as well, is that like we're here to explore this land,
Yeah.
this planet is for us to explore. We don't own a patch of
Right.
the planet, like that's. But yeah, so growing up in Malaysia, and then kind of being all around Southeast Asia, and then the whole um dance of that has just kind of brought me that clarity, I guess.
That's so beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and it's really, really, I feel like a potent realization to have, to like guide life. And it's something that well, you know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of your song, Connect the Dots. For some reason, I don't know, like I just was having that because it's just bringing everything together.
Yeah.
And like just connecting the dots. And every time I heard that song, I'm so moved, and it goes beyond even what I can express in words, but it's like something about just that feeling, like you're saying, that going beyond division, that we are connected.
Yeah, and it's like the
what
ultimate
inspired that?
truth.
Yeah.
Oh, for Connect the Dots, that inspired.
Yeah.
Connect the Dots was like I was in Guatemala, and I realized that I was like there was some kind of resistance there or some kind of blockage for me allowing myself to be happy, because I felt like I didn't deserve to be happy in that moment. I felt like there were just things in my life that didn't feel in alignment, and therefore I don't deserve to be happy in that experience. And then I realized, no, happiness is actually accessible to me all the time, 24/7. Like it's just um a case of me being present enough to sit with that and to allow myself to feel into the abundance of every single moment. It's just like a practice of presence. But I feel like it does link to the whole borders thing, because the pre-chorus of that song is saying, "In pleasure we're lost, distraction to blame, a torturous game we yeah, basically like distraction and pleasure, this constant chase is what is actually holding us back from like ultimate happiness." And I think that also mirrors in just like this idea of ownership, because I think if we all felt like fulfillment just in simply being, we wouldn't be chasing like more land, more. I think it's like a simple mindset that fuels a lot of the division. Though the lack of that simple mindset fuels a lot of the division. So I can connect the dots on why this would connect the dots.
I love that. I'm also curious because you mentioned connecting with your Celtic roots.
Yes.
So how has that been? Like, how did this, come about for you? Like, come more to the forefront in your life? And how has that been?
I went to Scotland when I was 14 years old, and it was the first time I really saw the earth through this like complete loving awareness, and I was young too, and it was just like, oh wow. When I'm lost, I clear and I like receive from the trees. And I was always kind of like, where is this coming from for me? I think it's most of us honestly feel this way. It's just like because we literally come from the earth. But yeah, I went back home recently and started questioning like, okay, where are we actually from? Like I said, Australia, that's stolen land. Like, where am I actually from? And so on both sides, I started going back, like, okay, like back through the lineage, and on both sides they have Celtic roots, and which makes sense for me, obviously, with my hair as well. And so it's been a big like finding, it's been extremely empowering, honestly. And for me also, like growing up with this hair color, I always felt like kind of isolated because of it. And now it's something that makes me feel like, no, this is like a badge of honor for me, you know, like this is like my ancestors, and it carries like so much. There's so much lore there, and so much that has been overwritten, and the more that I learn, the more I realize that it's like even more questions come up. And just there's like a lot of lost wisdom that I'm like, okay, so how can I rediscover a bit of what was lost? Because for us, you know, we didn't really have a lot written down. A lot of it was like passed down through folklore, through song, through, you know, poetry. And so for me, I'm like, okay, how can I reconnect with these druidic traditions? And honestly, I feel like I'm living it anyways naturally, you know? So it just kind of felt like this is just like another synchronicity where I'm like, okay, just gives me a bit more of a channel, you know, or a little bit more of a funnel to dive into. But it was kind of all of the teachings that kind of are in alignment with these Celtic traditions. I came to from my own experiences anyways.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like, well, I feel like there's something special sometimes about having that response, that feedback, or that like validation from the external world, um, especially about things like this that they come so naturally and like so intuitively. And then it's like, wait, I was already doing all of this.
Yeah.
Like I was literally doing rituals before I knew it was a ritual, or I was doing like, you know, this type of meditation.
It's so like inherent, and it's like instinctual as well. Like, and you know, storytelling and like these sound spells, or you know, the bards, they were doing that, like the Celts, you know, this has been through centuries we've been doing this, and we've been using music as like a mode of healing. So it's like it is a great remembering. Like it's a constant remembering, and so many, it's just such a beautiful path to be on. And I'm just so grateful that I've found like my communication with this like source, and it's just, I don't know. So every single day is like a discovery, which I love.
Yes, exactly. It's like coming from like something new, I feel like all the time. And I wonder if there's anything that you want to leave our viewers and listeners with, if there's like a message, or if there's anything that you feel like you want to touch on before we close today.
I think just when we were speaking earlier about how we live in a culture that profits off of insecurity, to keep compassion for yourself, and have that forgiveness for self, because we're all struggling through it. And no one's above this struggle, but we all have the potential to grow beyond the struggle. And that when we come together in community, that potential is just so much louder. And so, just having compassion for the self and returning back home to community, I think it's a good way to create change, and to feel not so alone in the process.
Oh my gosh. This is like, it's so, you know, this message, or this theme about not coming back to community and not feeling so alone. You know, this is something that's been a thread throughout these conversations. And it feels like something that is so like critical for our existence on this planet. Like, and for each one of us to know, like, we're not alone. And we, like, you're not alone. Like, we in whatever it is that we may be experiencing, struggling, I love how you just said, like, no one's above that struggle. Like, we all have challenges. Like, we all have experiences. And what was it that you said, that we can but we can rise above it?
Yeah, we can grow beyond
Grow
it.
beyond.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like this element of being able to grow and evolve. And
Yeah. We're doing it. We are evolving. And yeah, and also not being shy to, if you don't have that community, to create that community as well. Like, create those events, those spaces, because it's people want it. People will show up if you market it, or like if you share it, you know, people will show up because we're all feeling it.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
for sure. And you've been cultivating and creating such a beautiful community locally and globally, and it will continue to grow. And, you know, we want to encourage everybody to check out all of your links. We'll have them linked below, your socials, your website, your Spotify, stream and like and follow. And of course, with the Ancient Youth as well. And is there any specific project or link that you'd want people to go to at this time, or would it be like your main page?
Yeah, I think just keeping up with us on our socials, because we post everything there. But something to keep an eye out for is we're currently working on our album, me and the Ancient Youth. So that's really exciting. So that's like in the workings. But yeah, aside from that, socials is where I post everything.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I want to thank you. Well, thank you, first of all, for being a catalyst of change, because you are that and you've been that. And like we spoke about, showing up authentically, showing up fearlessly with that faith, and being able to, whether you want to say feel the fear and move forward anyway, or just, like you said, grow beyond it and just be able to be in that embodiment. It is an extraordinary example and inspiration for so many, including myself. And we're so happy to have you here. I'm so happy to have you here. So thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I want to welcome everyone to check out Lorelei. And of course, thank you for reminding us that our voices are sacred. Our art can be our alchemy. And the feminine is rising, has risen, and is rising, okay? This conversation, if it moved you and inspired you in any way, share it with someone who is finding their way home to their voice. Share it, share it, share it. Follow Lorelei's offerings, from healing songs to the sacred spaces and community gatherings, and allow yourself to feel what is ready to awaken. And as always, stay present, stay purposeful, and remember, you are the catalyst.